Evan, why was the watch I gave you yesterday sitting in the trash? You thanked me for it when you received it. Didn't you like it? My voice trembled with a mix of confusion and anger. Evan looked up from his lobster, eyebrows raised, completely unfazed. What are you talking about, Jessica? It's just a watch. Just a watch. I put down my fork, my hand shaking. It was an anniversary gift. You said you loved it. Now I find it in the trash? He sighed, exasperation etched on his face. Maybe it slipped my mind. It's not that big of a deal. I clenched my fists under the table, my nails digging into my palms. Not that big of a deal? You tossed a gift I saved up for months to buy. Why are you dismissing this like it's nothing? Evan's eyes turned cold. Jessica, do you always have to make everything about you? We're here to celebrate my promotion. Can't we just enjoy the evening? I want to enjoy the evening, Evan, but how am I supposed to when you clearly don't respect me or my feelings? I leaned forward, trying to contain my rising frustration. He leaned back, crossing his arms. I respect you, but you're overreacting. It's just one gift. Don't blow this out of proportion. I swallowed the lump in my throat. This isn't about the watch, Evan. It's about your attitude. You've been so distant lately, like I don't matter. He rolled his eyes. Jessica, I've been busy with work. You wouldn't understand the pressures I'm under. My voice dropped to a whisper. You think I don't understand pressure? I manage the house, I take care of Lily, and I work too. But at least I try to make you feel special. Evan scoffed. Look, I'm here now, aren't I? Can we just drop it? I struggled to hold back tears, but I knew I couldn't ruin the night further, especially in a public place. I took a deep breath and nodded. Fine, let's drop it. The rest of the dinner was a strained silence, the joyous occasion overshadowed by the suffocating tension between us. Even the lavish setting of the restaurant couldn't mask the coldness that enveloped our table. As the waiter brought the dessert, Evan's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen. It's a work call. Excuse me. He stood up and walked towards the exit. I stared at his untouched creme brulee and sighed. Was this really my life now? Always second to his job, always discarded like the watch. When he returned, he slid back into his seat with a forced smile. Sorry about that. Crisis averted. Maybe next time just leave the phone, I said, unable to keep the edge out of my voice. He didn't respond, just continued eating like nothing had happened. I watched him, trying to decipher the man I married 12 years ago. Where had we gone wrong? As we left the restaurant, Evan's hand brushed mine. For a fleeting moment, I hoped he would show some sign of remorse, but his grip was limp, indifferent. He hailed a cab, and we headed home in silence, the darkness of the Chicago night mirroring the chasm between us. When we arrived, Evan went straight to his office. I wandered into the living room, sinking into the couch. I could hear Lily's soft breathing from her bedroom. Mommy? Her small voice startled me. Lily, sweetie, what are you doing up? I asked, patting the spot next to me. I couldn't sleep. I had a bad dream, she said, climbing onto my lap. I hugged her tightly, drawing comfort from her warmth. It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. But as I held her, the uncertainty gnawed at me. Evan's behavior tonight was just the tip of the iceberg, and I had a sinking feeling there was much more lurking beneath the surface. As I tucked Lily back into bed, I made a silent vow. Whatever it took, I would get to the bottom of this. I would uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. The next morning, I stood over the sink, lost in thought as I scrubbed the dishes. Lily was coloring quietly at the kitchen table. The sun shone through the window, casting a warm glow, but the tension from last night's dinner still hung heavy. Evan walked into the kitchen, dressed for work, tying his tie with a quick, precise motion. Good morning, he said curtly. Morning, I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. He poured himself a cup of coffee, ignoring the tension in the air. So what's the plan for today? Just the usual, I said. Lily has ballet class, and I'll be working on a project from home. Evan nodded, barely paying attention. All right, I'll be late tonight. Big meeting. I felt a familiar pang of frustration. You seem to have a lot of those lately. He sighed, clearly irritated. Jessica, why do you have to check up on every little thing? I told you the watch was probably cheap anyway. Is this some kind of test or something? My grip tightened on the sponge. It's not about the watch, Evan. It's about you acting like you don't care. And here we go again, he muttered, rolling his eyes. I'm late. We'll talk about this later. No, we won't. I whispered to myself as he walked out the door. I listened to the sound of his car pulling away, feeling the familiar mix of anger and helplessness. "Mommy, are you okay?" Lily asked, looking up from her drawing with wide, innocent eyes. I forced a smile. "I'm fine, sweetie. Just a little tired." She nodded and went back to her coloring, satisfied with my answer. I stared at his empty coffee cup, then wiped the kitchen counter with more force than necessary. After getting Lily ready and dropping her off at ballet class, I parked near a cafe to gather my thoughts. I needed to do something, anything, to understand what was going on with Evan. Later that evening, as I was folding laundry, I decided I couldn't ignore my instincts any longer. I picked up my phone and called Anna, my best friend. "Hey, Jess," Anna answered, her voice warm and comforting. "Anna, I need to talk," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "Of course. What's up?" "It's Evan. He's been acting so strange lately, and last night, well, it wasn't good. I found the watch I gave him in the trash, and he doesn't seem to care about anything anymore." Anna was silent for a moment. "That's horrible, Jess. Do you think something else is going on?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but I need to find out. Do you want me to come over?" "No, it's okay. I just needed to talk to someone. Thanks, Anna." "Anytime, Jess. You know that. Call me if you need anything." "Will do. Thanks." I hung up, feeling slightly better. Anna always knew how to make me feel more grounded. But her words echoed in my mind. Something else is going on. Evan came home late, as expected. I watched him from the corner of the living room as he set his briefcase down and loosened his tie. "Long day?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. "Yeah, really busy," he replied, not meeting my eyes. I took a deep breath, deciding to test a theory. "I checked your briefcase today. There was nothing related to work in it, just old receipts." He looked up sharply, eyes narrowing. "Why would you do that?" "Because I'm worried, Evan. You're hiding something from me." He scoffed, brushing past me. "You're being ridiculous. Trust me or don't, Jessica, but stop playing detective." As he walked away, I knew I was onto something. His reaction confirmed it. There was more to this than long work hours and forgotten gifts, and I was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. The next evening, once Lily was asleep, I couldn't shake the growing suspicion gnawing at my mind. I decided to take a bold step. I slipped into Evan's office and quietly opened his desk drawers. My heart pounded as I rummaged through stacks of papers and folders. Then, buried under a pile of documents, I found a small envelope. My fingers trembled as I pulled it out and opened it. Inside were several photos, intimate photos of Evan with another woman. Rage and hurt surged through me. This was it. This was the confirmation I dreaded but needed. Evan walked in, catching me off guard. "What the hell are you doing in here?" he snapped, eyes blazing with anger. I held up the photos, my hand shaking. "Do you recognize yourself in these photos, Evan? How could you betray us like this?" His face darkened, and for a moment he looked like a stranger. "You went through my stuff? That's a new low, Jessica." "Don't turn this around on me," I seethed. "You're the one who's been lying and sneaking around." He tried to snatch the photos from my hand, but I pulled away. "These are private. You had no right." "They're proof," I shot back, voice breaking with emotion. "Of your betrayal, of everything you've put us through." Evan's expression turned cold and calculating. "Jessica, you always overreact. You think you can come in here, dig through my things, and play the victim? Grow up." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're unbelievable. After everything we've been through, everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" He shrugged, completely unapologetic. "Maybe if you weren't so controlling, we wouldn't be in this mess." "Controlling? I trusted you, Evan. I thought we were happy." "Funny thing about happiness," he said with a sneer. "It's different for everyone, and you clearly weren't enough for me." His words stung like a slap in the face. "Then why stay? Why lie and cheat? Why drag me and Lily into this nightmare?" He exhaled sharply, looking almost bored. "Convenience. It's easier to keep things as they are. But now you're pushing, and maybe it's time we change the arrangement." I couldn't let him get away with this, not without a fight. "You think you can have your cake and eat it too? Well, guess what, Evan? I'm done being your convenient wife." He smiled, but it was a cruel, hollow gesture. "Good luck, but don't expect me to play nice when you're tearing apart our lives over some petty jealousy." "This isn't jealousy. It's betrayal. And now, everyone will know the real you." I stormed out of his office, clutching the photos. My determination solidified. This wasn't over. I would expose him for the lying, cheating coward he was. In the living room, I collapsed onto the couch, phone in hand. I dialed the number of a private investigator I had found online a few days ago. "Hello, Mr. Thompson? My name is Jessica Harper. I need your help." He listened as I explained my situation, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "We'll get to the bottom of this, Mrs. Harper. I'll start immediately," he assured me. I hung up, feeling a surge of mixed emotions, relief, anger, and a fire that burned brighter than ever. Evan's betrayal had lit a fuse, and I was ready to watch him face the consequences. From the darkness of our once happy home, I was determined to bring the truth to light. This was just the beginning. Evan had no idea what was coming. He'd regret underestimating me. I spent the next few days in a blur of activity, but just setting plans into motion with a resolve I didn't know I had. First, I reached out to Rick Taylor, a sharp attorney recommended by Anna. Rick listened intently as I laid out my situation. "I've informed our lawyers and both of our families. There's no turning back now, Evan," I rehearsed under my breath as I gathered documents for Rick. In his office, Rick reviewed the photos and details I provided. "This is solid. We'll hit him hard with this. Brace yourself, Jessica. This won't be easy, but you've got a strong case." I nodded, relief and apprehension swirling within me. "Thanks, Rick. I'm ready for what's to come." That evening, I packed a few essentials for Lily and myself. Evan was out again, probably with his mistress. I called Anna, who offered us a place to stay for a while. Anna greeted us at her door with open arms. "You're welcome here as long as you need, Jess." With a comforting hug, she ushered us in. "Thanks, Anna. I can't tell you how much this means to me." "No need for thanks. Just make yourself at home," Anna said, showing us to our room. I laid Lily down, her small frame practically swallowed by the big guest bed. She looked so peaceful, unaware of the storm that was wreaking havoc on our lives. The next morning, I met with Rick again to finalize the necessary steps. "I'll prepare the paperwork for the divorce. You've also mentioned you think he's been using your joint account for his affair?" "Yes, I'm almost certain of it. Can we investigate that too?" I asked, determination simmering beneath my calm exterior. Rick nodded. "Absolutely. We'll subpoena his financial records. This could work heavily in your favor." With everything set in motion, I took a moment to breathe. Every step was a small move towards reclaiming my life, but there was a heavy weight in my chest, knowing the toll this would take on all involved. Later that afternoon, I made my way back to our house to collect more of our belongings. Evan was there, hovering by the door, eyes darkened with suspicion. "Running away, Jessica? Thought you'd face your mess like an adult," he sneered. "I'm not running. I'm acting. We're done, Evan. I've already spoken to a lawyer," I said, my voice steady and unyielding. His eyes narrowed. "What good do you think a lawyer will do? You're blowing this up for no reason. Think you can really take me on?" I stood firm, refusing to be intimidated. "I've informed our families and the lawyers. There's no turning back now. You will face the consequences for what you did." He scoffed, but I saw a flicker of worry. "You think you're so righteous. Let's see how long you last without my support." "I'll manage. Unlike you, I can hold my head high," I retorted, grabbing our bags and walking past him. As I left the house, I felt a shift. The house that once symbolized our family was just a building now, one that imprisoned memories of deception and misplaced trust. Back at Anna's place, I hugged her tightly. "Thanks for letting us stay here. It means a lot," I said, the heaviness in my voice echoing my exhaustion and determination. "You're strong, Jess. This will pass. You have a whole future ahead of you," she reassured me, her warmth giving me strength. Every day with Anna's support and Rick's guidance brought a sliver of hope. I wasn't alone. Lily and I would move forward, bringing the truth to light and making Evan face the consequences of his betrayal. This was only the beginning of our new journey, one where we'd eventually find peace and, hopefully, justice. A week later, I stood outside our house with Anna and Rick, waiting for Evan to come home. Neighbors lingered nearby, sensing the drama about to unfold. The evening air was thick with anticipation. Evan's car pulled up, and he stepped out, his face hardening as he saw the small gathering. "What's this about, Jessica?" he demanded, walking toward us. I took a deep breath, my pulse racing. "This is about the truth. How could you even think of keeping Lily and me in the dark while you played house with someone else? And now, you'll pay the price. Evan's eyes flicked to Rick, then back to me. Are you really doing this? Making a spectacle in front of our neighbors? Pathetic. I held my ground, unswayed by his derision. What's pathetic is your arrogance and deceit, Evan. Everyone deserves to know who you really are. Anna stepped forward, her presence a silent support. You've hurt Jess deeply, Evan. She deserves better, and she's finally standing up for herself. He sneered at her. Mind your own business, Anna. This is between me and Jessica. I couldn't hold back any longer. It's everyone's business now. Do you see them, Evan? I pointed to the neighbors gathering around. They see you for what you are, a liar and a cheat. Rick handed me a stack of papers. These are the documents detailing your embezzlement from our accounts, Evan. We have proof you funded your affair with money meant for our family. I watched the color drain from his face. This is outrageous. You have no right. Rick interjected smoothly. Actually, Jessica does have the right. We'll be conducting a full audit of your finances. This won't end well for you. The neighbors murmured, their whispers fueling the air with curiosity and judgment. Evan's facade began to crumble, the weight of his actions pulling him down. You think you can ruin me with this circus? His voice trembled, anger giving way to fear. You've ruined yourself, Evan. This is just the beginning of the consequences. Everything you've tried to hide will come to light, I said firmly. As if on cue, a woman appeared from the shadows. Samantha, Evan's mistress. Her face paled when she saw the crowd. Evan, what's going on? He turned to her, panic flashing in his eyes. Samantha, go back to the car. But it was too late. The damage was already done. Your lies have caught up with you, Evan, I said, my voice steady. Our neighbors, our families, they all know now. You can't hide anymore. Rick stepped forward with finality. Public humiliation is just the start, Evan. There's a legal storm heading your way. Divorce, financial audits, and professional disrepute. Prepare yourself. Evan looked like a cornered animal, his confidence shattered. You're doing this to hurt me, Jessica? Is that what this is all about? This is about justice. You won't walk away from this unscathed. It's time you face the repercussions of your actions, I declared. The crowd watched in silence, the air thick with the weight of Evan's downfall. His once pristine reputation lay in tatters, exposed for all to see. As I turned to leave, Anna and Rick by my side, I felt a sense of closure. The path ahead would be tough, but this confrontation was a pivotal step toward reclaiming my life. Evan's judgment was just beginning, and I wasn't alone in this fight. For the first time, I felt true, unwavering resolve. As we walked away, I glanced back one last time, seeing Evan standing there, surrounded by the wreckage of his deceit. It was a sight that cemented my determination. The truth was out now, and there was no turning back. The following week, I found myself in Rick's downtown office once again. The faint hum of the city outside contrasted sharply with the charged atmosphere inside. Rick laid out the documents in front of us. We're ready to file. The evidence is compelling, he said, his tone matter of fact. Evan walked in, eyes dark with anger. Jessica, this ends here. You're making a mistake. I met his gaze head on. No, Evan, the mistake was yours. Now it's time for the consequences. The defiance in my voice surprised even me. Rick addressed Evan directly. I've reported your misconduct to the board. Say goodbye to that promotion and hello to a lawsuit. Evan's face twisted with rage. You think you've won? This is just a phase. You won't get away with ruining my life. I'm not ruining anything, Evan. You did this to yourself. I'm just ensuring justice, I replied, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. He leaned forward, his voice a low growl. You're vindictive. You can't take that, I moved on. This will only backfire on you. Rick cut in smoothly. I think you need to understand the gravity of your situation. Embezzlement, infidelity, and breach of trust are serious charges. Evan shot Rick a scathing look. You're just her mouthpiece. She'll drop this nonsense soon enough. I stood up, facing him squarely. No, I won't. This isn't nonsense. Every lie, every betrayal, it all comes to light now. You can't bully me into submission anymore. Evan's laugh was bitter and hollow. You're naive, Jessica. Do you think the corporate world cares about your moral high ground? They don't. Rick smiled calmly, showing a confidence that rattled Evan. Her moral high ground, as you call it, is also backed by legal evidence. The board cannot ignore that. Evan scoffed, but I could see the cracks in his facade. You're throwing away everything for what? Spite? No, Evan, for truth, I corrected. Lily and I deserve better. We deserve honesty. Evan turned to leave, shaking his head. You're making a big mistake, Jessica. One you'll regret. Rick's voice followed him out. We'll see you in court. As the door shut, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Rick placed a reassuring hand on mine. You're doing the right thing. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of legal motions and preparations. The day of the hearing, the tension in the air was palpable. Evan arrived with his lawyer, a shrewd-looking man with a practiced air of confidence. The courtroom buzzed softly as the judge entered. All rise, the bailiff announced. We presented our case solidly, the evidence piling up against Evan, emails, bank statements, and more intimate photos than I cared to see, each piece a nail in the coffin of his defense. Evan's lawyer tried to deflect, paint me as vindictive and unstable. But my composure, combined with Rick's sharp legal acumen, kept our case watertight. During a recess, Evan approached me. This is your last chance to call this off, Jessica. I've reported your misconduct to the board. Say goodbye to that promotion and hello to a lawsuit, I repeated, the words now seared into my mind. I'm not backing down. His face contorted with rage. This isn't over. I met his gaze with unwavering resolve. Yes, Evan, it is. For good. As the judge returned with the final decision, I held my breath. The ruling was firm. Evan was found guilty of embezzlement and ordered to repay the funds. Custody of Lily was granted to me, along with substantial spousal support. Leaving the courthouse, a sense of justice and closure washed over me. Evan's storm was finally behind us. As Rick walked beside me, he said, "This is just the beginning of your new life." I looked ahead, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face, a new chapter unfolding. Thank you, Rick, for everything. Evan's fall from grace was complete, and for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. With Lily at my side, we had a chance for a fresh start, a life untainted by betrayal and deceit. The day after the court ruling, I walked up the courthouse steps, surrounded by reporters and spectators. The media buzzed around Evan's downfall. Cameras flashed, capturing the final spectacle of his shattered life. Evan stormed past me, his face a mask of fury. "You think this is over, Jessica?" he barked, eyes blazing. "You'll regret every bit of this." Ignoring him, I pushed through the crowd, Rick close by my side. He approached a group of reporters waiting eagerly for a statement. "My client has delivered a powerful message about justice and integrity today," Rick said firmly. "No one is above the law." Someone in the crowd shouted at Evan, "How does it feel to lose everything?" Evan spun around, his voice dripping with venom. "This isn't over. She'll pay for this." But his threats couldn't touch me anymore. I felt untouchable, standing in the light of truth. The front-page headlines the next day read, "Corporate Exec Falls from Grace, Embezzlement and Infidelity Exposed." Evan's boss, David Brooks, was among those reading the news. Later, David called me into his office. As I stood there, he leaned back in his chair, studying me. "Mrs. Harper, this must have been quite an ordeal for you." "Yes, it has," I said, maintaining a composed stance. "But it was necessary," David sighed. "Evan's actions have tarnished our company's reputation. We've terminated his employment effective immediately." "I understand," I replied, feeling a mix of relief and lingering sorrow for what could have been. "That being said," David continued, "we appreciate your courage. If you ever need any support, don't hesitate to reach out." "Thank you, Mr. Brooks," I said, genuinely touched. As I left the office, I was overwhelmed with a sense of vindication. Evan's downfall had been swift and deserved. His loss of employment was just the beginning. By the midday news update, the full extent of his fraud was public knowledge, plunging him into scandal. Rick called later that afternoon. "The investigation has uncovered even more damning evidence. Evan's looking at significant jail time." "Good, it's what he deserves," I replied, feeling no sympathy. That evening, I watched Lily play in the park. Claire, Evan's mother, approached cautiously. "Jessica, may I sit?" "Of course," I replied, giving her room. Claire looked weary. "I'm so sorry for everything my son put you through. I never imagined he would fall so low." "Thank you, Claire. I'm just focused on the future now, for Lily and me." My gratitude was genuine, but my firm resolve had no room for bitterness. "I want you to know," Claire added, "you have my full support. Evan, he made his choices, but Lily deserves a stable, loving environment." "I appreciate that, Claire. Truly, I said, squeezing her hand. Her support was a balm to the deep wounds Evan had left. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues over the park, I felt an undeniable sense of closure. Evan's kingdom had crumbled, leaving me to rebuild from the remnants. That night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Mommy, is Daddy coming back?" I pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "No, sweetie. Daddy made some bad choices, but we're gonna be okay. I promise." Lily nodded sleepily. "Okay, Mommy, as long as we're together." Tears pricked at my eyes, but I held them back. Yes, my love, always together. Sitting by her bedside, watching her drift into dreamland, I realized the enormity of what lay ahead. The road wouldn't be easy, but it was ours to tread. Somewhere in the distance, Evan was grappling with the full weight of his actions, his world falling apart piece by piece. He'd faced justice alone, stripped of the power he once wielded with such arrogance. For Lily and me, every day would be a step toward healing, toward building a new life anchored in trust and love. And as the dawn of a new chapter broke, I knew we'd rise stronger, unmasked and unbroken. A few months later, a crisp fall breeze stirred the leaves in the park as Lily and I sat on a bench watching her play. Claire joined us, her eyes reflecting both sadness and strength as she settled in beside me. "Jessica," Claire began, breaking the comfortable silence, "I hear you finalized the divorce." I nodded, watching Lily's laughter fill the air with innocence. "Yes, it's all done now. I have full custody of Lily, and we're focusing on moving forward." Claire sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. "I'm relieved to hear that. You both deserve peace and happiness after everything Evan put you through." I responded with a soft smile. "Thank you, Claire. Your support has meant the world to us." She reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. "Evan's disgrace has been hard to bear, but he made his choices. It's a hard pill to swallow, but he's paying the price for his actions." "Has he reached out to you?" I asked, curious but cautious. "A few times," she admitted, "but I told him I couldn't condone what he did. I won't enable his behavior. And I've made it clear that my allegiance is with you and Lily." Tears welled in my eyes, gratitude swelling in my chest. "Thank you for standing by us, Claire. It's been a harrowing journey, but knowing you're with us has made it a bit easier." Claire's face softened. "You've shown remarkable strength, Jessica, more than anyone should have to, but you're starting anew, and that's what's important." Our conversation was interrupted by Lily running up to us with a bright smile. "Mommy, can we go to the ice cream shop now?" I chuckled, ruffling her hair. "Sure, sweetie. Claire, would you join us?" Claire's eyes sparkled with affection, and she smiled. "I'd love to." As we walked to the nearby ice cream shop, the past few months' struggles felt like they were finally behind us. We ordered our treats, and Lily's delighted giggles filled the air, a testament to the happiness she deserved. While we were seated, savoring our ice cream, Anna showed up unexpectedly. Spotting her, I called her over, grateful for yet another source of support. "Hey, Jessica." "Claire," Anna greeted, pulling up a chair. "How's everything?" "Getting better," I replied, genuinely feeling the weight of truth. "Each day is a little brighter." Claire nodded in agreement. "We're taking it one step at a time, but there's hope." Anna smiled warmly. "That's the spirit. You're stronger than you realize." Our conversation shifted to lighter topics, the bond of friendship and family providing a sense of normalcy. It was a reminder that life could be good again, untainted by Evan's betrayal. Later that night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at me with those wide, innocent eyes. "Mommy, are we happy now?" I kissed her forehead, feeling a warmth spread through my soul. "Yes, my love, we are happy and will keep finding new ways to be even happier." Lily nodded, satisfied with my answer, and drifted into a peaceful sleep. Standing by her bedside, I reflected on the journey. Evan's downfall had been necessary for our freedom, and though it was painful, it illuminated the path to a better future. The next morning, over breakfast, Rick called with an update. "Jessica, just wanted to let you know, Evan's fraud charges will lead to a trial soon. His former company has decided to pursue legal action." "Thanks, Rick," I said, feeling a sense of finality. I'm ready for whatever comes next. Claire looked up from her coffee and asked, "What's next for you, Jessica?" "I'm focused on Lily and our future now," I answered with a serene smile. "We've shed the past, and it's a clean start." As I said it, I felt the truth of those words settle in my heart. In the end, justice had been served, and the foundation for our new life was strong. We would face the future unmasked, resilient, and ready for whatever came our way.